Jacob, and it's Trail Mix, and I'll be talking about water, and I'm going to be with my friend Daddy and be talking about water.
And I get to be friend Daddy. Okay, so let's get right into it. You've been bugging me for a few days to do a podcast about water, and I kept asking you, Jacob, what is it that you wanted to talk about water?
So what I want to talk about water is 3 things. I wanted to tell how not to pollute the water and not how to make other things get sick and how to save the water.
Okay, so that's 2 things. What's your third thing?
No, I said the third thing.
Was that the third thing?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start up with the first one then. So you started off by talking about not
polluting the water.
Polluting the water. So tell me what you know.
So if you pollute the water, all the animals that drink water at the lakes and sometimes rivers and waterfalls, they might come there and drink that water, and they could get sick and hurt our environment.
Okay. One of the things I've learned about podcasting is that it's good to get good ideas out, but it's also good to be specific. And all that means is give a really, really, really strong example. So what's an example of an animal that might go to a river and drink polluted water?
Well, I have some of them.
Okay.
Should I tell like 2 or 3?
What? Throw down what you got, dude. Throw down what you got.
Sometimes giraffes.
Okay.
Lions.
Okay.
Tigers. And so far, that's how much I know.
Can we bring it to a Canadian perspective? What would be a Canadian example, an animal that's here in Canada?
Well, I know there's a lot of them, but I bet hippos.
You think we have hippos in Canada?
Yeah.
All right. So
At the Canada Zoo.
Oh, fair enough. Actually, touche. So if the water was polluted and the hippo went up for a drink, how might that water have been polluted in the first place?
Well, it counts how much garbage that went in there.
So how do you think the garbage gets there? You ever seen a hippo walking around with a bag of chips and a can of pop and throw it down on? So how does the garbage? How would the garbage get into the water then?
So that's a good question. So I know how that happens because I learned it in science.
Okay, so throw down on it.
Okay, so it is when people put garbage into water, it'll start polluting the water. And pollute means that it makes the garbage all, dirty and makes plants and animals die. And how plants get destroyed, it goes through the soil, and then it'll go to their roots and then destroy them.
Okay. So, sorry, I had to step out of the studio for a second. Did you talk about how polluting the water could make the animals sick?
Yeah, and then I started talking about the plants.
Okay.
How the water comes to the plants and then makes them get destroyed. And you know how leaves turn brown?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean, like happening to the plants.
Gotcha. So, your first 2 things was polluting the water and making the animals sick.
Yeah.
So let's give some advice. Give 1 or 2 or 3.
We already did doing the animals.
No, I know, but here's the thing. Someone's listening to this and they're thinking to themselves, Jacob, I feel the same way. I think that there's too much pollution in the waters, that the Canadian hippos at the zoo, the Canadian hippos at the zoo, there might be too much garbage in their water. So what would be, how about 3 suggestions on how, because you probably mentioned hippos don't put the garbage in the water themselves, right?
Yeah,
so who puts the garbage there probably?
People. That litter and don't care about animals, and they don't know that animals are kind of like humans, except they are animals.
True. True. I would have to agree with that.
And they can't walk. Well, they can walk, they just can't walk like us.
Right.
They walk on four legs, we walk on 2 legs.
Wait, there are some animals that walk on 2 legs, though.
Kangaroos, basically.
I guess. I don't know if I've ever seen a kangaroo walking, but here's what I wanted to ask you. Could you give 3 suggestions on how we can keep the garbage out of the water? What are 3 suggestions to sort of make that problem better?
How that happens is, if you don't want anyone or anything to die, you put garbage in the garbage bin, banana peels and apple cores, and all the green bin stuff in the green bin.
Sure.
And all recycling in the recycling.
Boom. High five on that. That was good. So that's 3 suggestions on how we can keep the water clean. Now, the last point that you made, because you had 3 points that you wanted to talk about. The last point, do you remember what it was?
I kind of.
Do you want me to help you out?
Sure.
It had to do with saving water.
Oh, how not to pollute the water.
No, we did that. We talked about, you said that, here, okay, don't listen to us right now because we're going to have a little side conversation. Remember, you want to talk about how we don't want to pollute the water because then the water makes the animals sick. Yeah, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we already talked about that. But the third thing you were talking about was just conserving water. So how do we save water so we don't use it up too much? You remember?
Oh.
Okay, you ready? Yeah. Okay, we're back. So now I think one of the things you wanted to talk about was how we can conserve water. So water being a very special resource that we don't want to waste. So what have you seen as far as water being wasted? What have you noticed?
It starts going away and then goes into lakes and rivers and not go into pipes, and sometimes it'll go to the ocean where there's basically like no tubes, because then they'll be like, it's not like a construction place and it brings like water. Okay.
So what I hear you saying is that whatever water that goes down the drain that we just waste down the drain is going to make it to our oceans. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then not like come back in because the water is already dirty.
Right.
And we don't want to use dirty water, and it's like wasting water to make it become dirty, and then it'll waste the water.
Okay.
And then we'll start running out of water and have to only use dirty water.
You want to talk about something gross for a second?
Sure.
All right. So here's something that you maybe never thought about. Where do you think, when you flush the toilet, where do you think that water goes?
Into the ocean.
Yeah? With all the toilet paper and the poop, and you think it goes right in the ocean?
Yeah. Because sometimes it does, because like pipes kind of go through the ground and go to lakes, and sometimes the lakes leads to the ocean.
Would you believe me? Could you believe me? You should believe me that water actually gets cleaned. But here's my question.
I know. I know how it gets cleaned. Cause
Wait. That's my big question to you. I want to know how. How do you think we clean poop and pee and toilet paper out of water? How do you do that? How do you do that?
I bet
People have to do it?
No.
Okay. I don't want that job. I don't want to be the poop water cleaner.
The people make machines.
Okay.
And you know those like water mover things that move water?
I'll have to tell you one thing. Anyone listening to this right now can't see your hands going in the air. So you have to use your words to describe what you're talking about. So what's a water mover thing? Describe the picture that you're thinking of.
Like, there's these tubes.
Okay.
And it goes down. If there's like a hill, it goes like this. Woo! Like
you're using your hands again.
Goes to the side and down and then back to the side.
Okay.
And there's like these big walls that block the water.
Okay.
And it'll block the poop and pee and toilet paper and stuff.
All right. So you think a machine does it?
Yeah.
Where do you think that water gets used after it's been cleaned?
goes back to our environment, and
Okay.
then people can use it again, and then it goes around and around and around and around and around and around.
So you're talking about the water cycle.
Yeah.
All right. So where do you think, can you be specific? Do you think that you've ever used water twice? Do you think that you've ever used the same water twice?
Like twice a day?
No, in your lifetime so far.
Well, that's a hard question.
I think that's a crazy hard question.
Yeah.
Have you ever used the same water twice?
I don't know if I did it when I was young, but I know I didn't do it when I'm like older.
Like, think about this. Here's one way to think about it. So let's say you're having a shower, and the water that's in the shower you wash with, and it goes down the drain. Then it goes down the drain, goes through those machines you were talking about, it gets cleaned. And then I'm wondering if that water has ever made it back to you, and you've used it again to wash yourself after it gets all cleaned up.
I think I did once when I was really young.
Yeah? You remember that? It happened, you used it twice, once before?
I didn't know.
Me neither. I don't know. That's a pretty big question. Okay, so here's the last part, right? I want Jacob's 3 suggestions for conserving water. So what's Jacob's 3 suggestions for conserving water so we don't waste water? Number 1.
We don't waste water.
Okay, but that's the theme of the whole thing.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 4 then. So number 2.
We try saving our animals instead of killing them.
What does that have to do with water?
Well, like they drink the dirty water.
Oh, okay. You're too big of a thinker. I couldn't see inside your brain. Number 3.
You have to clean the water instead of just leaving it dirty, and because then our environment could get dirty.
Okay. And this is the big one. It better be good because everyone right now they just can't wait for the final one. So this has to be the best suggestion you have ever made for conserving water. Are you ready? I'm going to give you a drum roll. You ready? And number 4.
We need to say. Wait, what?
Okay, drum roll. What's your number 4 suggestion for conserving water?
It is not trying to do any harm. Wait, I don't know the number 4 one. You didn't tell me it. You said, okay, that's number 4, and I didn't know what you said it for.
You think this is my fault?
Yeah.
All right. So what's a bonus then? So the bonus suggestion then on how to save water. What's the most important thing that human beings could do to conserve water?
By not littering.
Okay.
And by not using the water like thousands of times a day.
Oh, so
like a lot of times because you could use dirty water.
Right.
And it couldn't have got clean because it must have went through a crack.
Right.
Maybe.
I like that. Have you heard I won't even say it, but it's sometimes a rule with flushing the toilet. You know what the rule about flushing the toilet sometimes? You ever heard it?
No.
You haven't heard it?
No.
If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Do you know what that means?
No, I have no idea.
Right, yeah.
What's yellow? What's mellow?
Mellow, you let it kind of relax. You never heard that before? Sometimes that's a cottage rule. If you're at the cottage, if you just have a pee, don't flush it. But if you have a poop, flush it. I know. Anyways, Jacob, thank you for talking to me about water.
You're welcome.
What's the name of your podcast again?
Saving water.
And but it's trail mix.
And it's trail mix.
Trail mix. And we're talking about water. Where can you find trail mix? Do you remember where else you can get it?
On iTunes.
Absolutely, on iTunes. So you get to be
MC Flash.
Oh, you're MC Flash. Well, my DJ Gassy Jack.
And my friend Daddy is DJ Gas.
DJ Gas, you're changing my name every time. All right, thanks for listening.